The live stream begins the way thousands do every day. A steady camera, a softly lit room, and a young woman sitting on her bed, her phone propped up as comments begin to roll in. She smiles, greets familiar viewers, and talks casually about her day. Nothing feels unusual. A ceiling fan turns slowly above her, and a door behind her remains slightly open, revealing only darkness beyond. At 9:12 p.m., the viewer count peaks. At 9:18 p.m., something changes. It is not dramatic. No scream, no visible struggle. Just something small, so subtle that no one reacts. The chat continues scrolling with emojis and jokes. By 9:27 p.m., the stream is still live, but she is no longer there. The camera records an empty room. Viewers assume she stepped away. At 9:43 p.m., the stream ends. No one reports anything unusual. No one realizes she disappeared in front of them. Her name was Amara Okoye, a 19-year-old university student known for quiet, late-night live streams. She had a small but loyal audience who tuned in not for excitement, but for familiarity. On the night she vanished, her stream began at 8:56 p.m., titled simply Late Night Catch-Up. For the first 15 minutes, everything was routine. She answered questions, laughed, and spoke about school. At 9:13 p.m., she briefly stepped out of frame, then returned, acting normal. No one thought anything of it. At 9:18 p.m., her attention shifted. She paused mid-sentence and glanced toward the door. A viewer asked if she was okay. She smiled and said yes, but her tone had subtly changed. At 9:24 p.m., she stopped responding to comments, stared off-screen, stood up, and walked out of frame. She never came back. When her roommate returned the next morning and found her missing, concern escalated. Her belongings were untouched. There were no signs of struggle, only the open door and the ended live stream. Investigators reviewed the footage, expecting to find something obvious. Forced entry, a disturbance, but there was nothing. The video looked ordinary. She simply left the frame. Still, something felt wrong. They rewatched the stream repeatedly, analyzing every detail, every second. The breakthrough came from the chat logs. At 9:18 and 42 seconds p.m., one message appeared. Did anyone else hear that? It had been ignored. Investigators returned to that exact moment and enhanced the audio. There was a faint sound like a soft click, not from the visible door, which never moved. It came from somewhere else. They examined the footage again. At 9:18 and 39 seconds p.m., just before the comment, a shadow passed briefly across the wall behind her. Less than a second, barely noticeable. But it had shape, movement. Someone was there, just out of view. Amar's reaction followed immediately her glance toward the door, her sudden distraction. She had noticed it. Viewers had not. Investigators synchronized the audio and video again and detected faint movement, fabric brushing, a subtle shift of weight. Someone was inside the room. The realization shifted the entire case. The key moment, however, occurred earlier. At 9:13 p.m., when Amara briefly left the frame, investigators slowed the footage. In the reflection of a glossy picture frame on her wall, something appeared just for a fraction of a second, the doorway behind her and a figure standing in it, still watching. The intruder had already been inside before anyone noticed anything was wrong. When Amara stepped away, she likely encountered him off camera. When she returned, her composure had changed. She knew. By 9:18 p.m., the intruder moved closer. That was a shadow, the sound. And at 9:24 p.m., when she stood and walked out of frame, she was not leaving casually. She was being forced to go silently, carefully, by someone who understood exactly where the camera was and how to stay out of sight. Investigators enhanced the reflection, reconstructing the figure's outline. It matched a maintenance worker with access to the building, someone familiar with the layout and her routine. He had entered earlier using a duplicate key and waited inside her room, unseen, while hundreds watched the stream. He was arrested 3 weeks later. Evidence confirmed his involvement. The footage was later released as a warning, because in real time, nothing about that night seemed unusual. Only in hindsight did everything become clear at a glance. The pause, the shadow, the moment hidden in plain sight. Viewers who returned to watch it again saw what they had missed. It forced a difficult realization that watching is not the same as seeing, and that the most important moments are often the ones overlooked. The stream ended quietly at 9:43 p.m. No alarms, no urgency, just silence. Thousands were watching, but no one truly saw.